Hello, my name is Andrew Barry, and I'm the Director of Technology at Lullabot. Today I'm going to be talking about our custom code decision tree for Drupal applications and Drupal websites. First off, you might be asking yourself, why would we need a whole decision tree for determining if we were going to use custom code or an existing Drupal contributed module to solve some problem for one of our projects? Well, we wanted to make sure that we were getting the balance right between writing that custom code and accepting the maintenance burden that that brings on, and perhaps making sure that we were effectively using Drupal contributed modules in a way that would make the most sense. But as we were discussing this, we realized that we needed to first make sure that we had a shared framework for making those decisions, because as we interviewed different leaders within different teams, we discovered that they didn't always have the same process or the same heuristic to determine if they should write new custom code or use something from the Drupal contributed space, or perhaps create a new contributed solution entirely. So we needed to get that sorted out. And we also wanted to make sure that we had something that those who were on our projects who were not Drupal developers or Drupal engineers or had prior experience in the Drupal community could use as a reference to understand why a given recommendation or decision was being made. So let's take a look at what we came up with. So first off, we got a pretty big diagram here. This was the result of several meetings over a few months where we interviewed team members. We discussed real world scenarios where one decision or another was made, and we started to actually write down the list of every question that we ask ourselves. And at the very, very beginning, this was certainly a surprise to me, the top reason that we thought the top question that needed to be asked first was this one around having a preference for contrib modules over custom code. And of course, in retrospect, this makes total sense because some clients we work with have a very strong engineering team. They have a lot of developers available. We're kind of working as development partners with them, and they may have their own preference one way or another. And other clients we work with have very little Drupal expertise in-house and want to minimize their maintenance costs as much as possible. And so that's the very first question that we would ask. And then if there isn't a specific documented preference, we might ask who will maintain this project in the long term, whether it's a large technically skilled team or a small non-technical team. We also look at the size of the custom code versus the potential contributed module. Sometimes you might look at a given ticket and realize you're going to be writing a lot of custom code, in which case actually you would end up here, fairly equivalent or custom code larger. And so then you would end up starting to evaluate what's in the contrib space. But of course not. I'll scroll down here. Oh, wow, we're going all the way. Custom code very small in comparison. This is true. Like if your choice is between adding 3 lines of code in some hook or in some class or implementing a very complicated module that happens to solve your problem, you might just decide you want those 3 lines of code. But then once you're wondering, or once you're looking at determining if you should use a contrib module or not, then you have to actually evaluate the contributed module space to figure out what's available and what's going to make sense. And a lot of times you find something and it's like it gets you 60 or 70% of the way to what you need to solve, but it doesn't get you any further. And you have to figure out, okay, is it better for us to improve this code, write something and contribute to it, or do our own work? And, often, I would say most of the time, it's faster just to improve the contrib module and update a patch or contribute a patch or a merge request to fix it. Though sometimes you realize that that module is actually trying to solve a different goal. To make it do what you want it to do is going to go against some other decisions or wishes of the maintainer, and that may just not work. Another interesting aspect, which again is something we think about but is not something we'd ever written down before, was this aspect of trust. Do you trust the author of the module that you are looking at? There are certainly people in the Drupal community who have a long track record of producing quality code and responding timely to bug requests and generally being good players. And there might be other folks where maybe you haven't had that, or your team hasn't had that experience, or maybe it's just unknown. You don't know the author who's there. So, there's just a question around how much risk you might or might not be taking on that way. Um, so then, once you have that, you're going to be asking yourself, is the module stable? What is the size of the custom code required versus the potential contrib module? Would the custom code be useful to another project? And on and on and on until eventually you get to these terminus states down at the end, these terminal states down at the end. So, uh, we basically end up with 5 different possible solutions, ranging from using existing contributed module as is, to contributing to an existing module, or writing a new contributed module, or writing custom code, or at the least, writing custom code and then sharing it internally with our team. So maybe after 2 or 3 implementations, we can get to that point where we're back over here with write a new contrib module. So after producing this diagram, we did find that it was helpful for our team. In particular, one of the aspects that came out of it was realizing that presenting it as a diagram was really, really helpful to a lot of our team, and it was completely overwhelming and not useful to others on our team. Those folks asked for just a list of questions. They just wanted bullet points, all of the questions, not the flow, because they wanted to have a checklist to make sure that they had asked all of the right questions and given the right answers for a given ticket. And, we basically just determined that, having the same information presented in multiple ways was the best way for us to reach our goal of having a shared understanding for this process. Anyways, I hope sharing this is helpful to those of you who are watching. Feel free to leave notes in the comments, or reach out to us on Mastodon or other social networks where we happen to be active. Thanks for your time.